So having created the reset token and hashed it, the next thing we need to do is to save it to our database. So remember, we created a token model. That's where we're going to save the token we just created. So I'll get rid of the console.log because I mean you don't want to be logging stuff to your console anyhow. So we're going to come down here. Let me add a comment here and say save token to DB. All right, so now I just got to say await, and we're going to create a new token. So you see there are different ways that we can save stuff in our database. We've seen token model name, so model.create. When we're creating the user, we say user.create. We've seen the one where we can just assign it to a variable and then call the .save method. So now this is another one. So we're creating a new token, and it's an object that will have 4 properties. So the first is the user ID. Remember our token model. So the user ID is going to be this particular user ID. Remember, we got out the user and saved it inside this variable. So here I'll just come and say user dot underscore ID. The next is the token itself that we want to save. So token property, and then that's going to point to the hashed token. Right, next we're going to save the date we created it. So created at, by the way, this is coming from our token model, it's not coming from my brain. Look at it, token model, user ID, token, created at, expires at. All right, so that being said, let's continue. So created at, well, technically it's coming from my brain too, all right, so this is going to be the date that the user clicked that button. So here we're going to say date dot now and then call it. Next we're going to have, oh sorry, comma, next we're going to have expires. So what time do you want it to expire? So expires at, I think that's what we use. Let me just confirm. Expires at, you know what, let me just copy it so I don't make a mistake. Copy that and come here and then just paste that in. And then what I want to do is I want to add 30 minutes to the current date. So if I want token to this token to be valid for 30 minutes, what I'll just say is date dot now, call that, and then I'll just say plus 30 minutes. Now I'm going to just do 30 minutes in a very simple way. So I'll just say 30 and then I'll multiply it by 1 minute. So 1 minute is 60 and multiply by 1000. Okay, so let me just add a comment here and say 30 minutes, 30 minutes, like so. Great. So those are the things that we need to do when, these are the properties that we need to have when we create a token. So now I will just save this token. So you see I just said await new token and I added the property. So at this point here, at the end here, I can just tag on the dot save and the token will be saved to the database. Great. So now we've been able to create a token and we've saved it to the database. The next thing is let's construct a reset URL. So let's say construct reset URL, because if you look at that email, right? So let me come on, be fast, Great. So if you look at this email, this is a reset URL and it doesn't just have the token, it has the front end URL. So pinverse.vercel.app, that's the front end URL, and then /reset, and then the token is the last part. So we're going to construct that URL now. So hereby I'll first need to have access to the front end URL or the client URL. So what I'll do is I would put that inside my .env file. So come to my .env file and then I'll just come here. I don't know if I should call it client URL or front end URL. Let me just call it front end URL because everybody knows front end, but it looks long. Front end underscore URL. So that's fine. What's the front end URL in our local development? It's localhost port. It's going to be, not it, because we've not created it yet. But it's going to be http /localhost port 3000. So this is going to be the front end URL we use in our application. So now let's save this guy and then let's point to it in our controller. Front end URL, yeah, okay. So here I want to construct a reset URL, yeah. So I'll say const reset URL, and that's going to be equal to, we're going to use backticks here so that we can have variables and string inside. So the variable we want to point to is process.env, process.env, then dot, remember, front end URL. So there needs to be underscore here. Oh, what have I done? What did I press? I think I pressed, okay, yeah, I pressed control and something else. So let me just press control minus. Aha, so it's back to the size, yeah. So process.env front end URL. Then I will now add a /. What do we have next? Reset password. So in the front end, I'll say reset password. Then /. I will now add the reset token. So that's also now going to be my string interpolation syntax. And then I'll just say reset token. Is it reset token now? Just a minute. Yeah, so we are saving the reset token. So reset token, yeah. So this is what the front end URL, this is how we construct the reset URL that will send to the user's email. Okay, so next, what we need to do next is we now need to construct the email that we want to send to the user. So let's come down here and say reset email. So the reset email, well, I'm just going to put it inside a variable that I'll call message, and that's going to be equal to, I'll use backticks as well. So backticks, and then I'll just open it. All right, so now let's construct the email. Look at what we did here. We said hello, the name of the person. So here I'll say h2, let's just use a h2, and then I'll just say hello. Then I'll just use my string interpolation syntax again to get the user dot name. So that's going to get out the username. Then I'll just add a paragraph, and then the paragraph says please use the URL below. Let's paste that in. Let's have another paragraph at the next line, and then reset link is valid for 30 minutes. Copy that and then paste that in. By the way, if you wanted to increase it to maybe 40 minutes, all you just need to do is just change this to 40. Okay, but let's leave it at 30. Then what's the last one? We'll now send the reset link. Okay, so this reset link, it's going to be a href. I think I should space this guy up a bit, so let's come down. So we're just going to have an a tag that will just tab. Aha, so that's href. The href is going to be our string interpolation syntax. So we're just going to do dollar and curly braces, and then we're just going to send the reset URL. Aha, then inside of the middle here, we also want it to show the reset URL. So same thing, and then we're pointing to the reset URL. Now there's a property we need to add for this particular URL, and that is click tracking. So I'll say click tracking because I don't want the clicks to be tracked, and I'll set it to off. So that's about it. Then of course you greet the user. So that's what we did here when we said regards. You want to respect your users. So here I'm just going to add a paragraph and just say maybe regards, and then you can then add your team name. So I didn't do that earlier, but I'll just say p invent sim. Simple as that. So this is the format of the message we're going to send to the user when they try to reset their email. Okay, we're already 10 minutes into this stuff. So in the next video, we're now going to execute the function to test out what we've done so far. All right, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.